Welcome to Uncanny Contemplation, where we contemplate the macabre through art and gaming and art, but also gaming, but also art. I'm Poet. Hi. Over there is our wonderful artist, the Trash King, Armadox.
Hello.
Oh. Today we're maybe finishing up Omen Exito Plague. I don't know. We'll figure it out, but we're making
Absolutely
good progress.
not. It's 10 more episodes.
Who knows? Who knows how much more of the adventures of Jake Huntington there are. There could be just infinite numbers.
Every time we think we're out, it drags us right back in.
It really does. But yeah, let's take a look here. Okay. You have a starting point at least. You'll need to see it for yourself to get a better idea of the situation so you can make a plan of attack. You also need to find out if there's anyone willing to help you, and Ayata, if you are alone. Now you just have to make a start. So here's our character sheet. If you remember, we're now like on a deserted island or something.
Well, it's not deserted if there's people on it.
That's fair. It's not England, though. It's not an English island.
True.
But
you've done spectacularly bad at anything that isn't England.
It's true, yeah. And the cult is attacking. We shot the cult up with a gun with a machine gun last time, so that was nice. But yeah, now we've got to figure out what we need to do. So we can go to the cult's camp to investigate. We can convince the villagers to help us by talking to people in the village, or we can go to the cult's cave where they're doing their evil rituals.
I think we need backup, since we've spent all our time getting nothing but speechcraft.
I mean, we have a warrior woman and a small child that's been captured. That's all. What backup do you need against an entire cult? But okay, yeah, let's try that. The sun's already high in the sky when you finally leave your bed and walk out of the hut where you had been sleeping. The village is a hive of activity. Many of the fishermen's dugouts are already at sea. Others are intent on finishing their careful preparations before heading out. The women are busy with various activities. Cool, various activities. My favorite type of activity. Some tend to crops on the edge of the village while others are looking after the children. Seems like any other perfectly ordinary day, as if Fuego's kidnap or those from before had never happened at all. Ayatsa comes up bringing you some fruit for breakfast. Have you had any ideas? We organize a raid on the cult's camp. Ayatsa notes your hesitation. But you don't think that it is possible. You explain to her that this is not the case, but that you would have a much better chance of success if it were not just you two. So we can seek allies or evaluate the cult's defenses.
Seek allies. I think we definitely need to get people that we can put in front of us.
Yes. They are strong and determined, and when they decide to do something, they stop at nothing. However, unfortunately, as I have already told you, they are very superstitious. They wouldn't even consider attacking people who they believe are capable of magic. Alright, tell me about the cult's defenses. They have weapons, terrible weapons that can strike from a great distance with more force than arrows. That's all I know. Oh, so they have guns. Damn. Alright, time to plan.
Magic.
What attempt? You notice Ayata's tone of voice when speaking about the villagers. You decide that maybe some of them could be convinced to help you. When you tell her this, and that it is your best hope, she nods in agreement. There are perhaps 3 of the men we could convince. Amana is the chief. He is very close to his son. With her eyes, she indicates his hut. He has not left his hut since his boy was kidnapped. Tahitoa is strong and powerful, not easily scared. Manurai is very agile and headstrong. I think he suppresses his anger for them. So, who do we want to talk to?
I'll let you pick.
I mean,
They all sound perfectly okay.
the chief has an
The
actual
chief?
reason to join us, and I feel like once the chief has joined us, we would have a better chance of convincing other people.
That makes sense. That we could go with that one. That works.
Go up to Amana's hut, knock, and enter. You find the chief sitting in silence on a mat in the center of his hut, his thoughts seemingly miles away. You are silent for a moment, considering your words, but he speaks before you. You must forgive my manners, but mourning fathers can forget the most basic courtesies, both towards both guests and their own companions. We could just come in here and just be like, oh, he's mourning, never mind. He doesn't need to join us. Or we could use our speechcraft to persuade him, which seems like probably what we want to do.
I think we built speech up for a reason. Let's try to see if we can't get him.
Checking out Amana's information in our booklet. Village chief and Fuego's father, serious, mighty, he strikes you as a strategist. Could prove to be an excellent resource. Yeah, a resource. All right, let's persuade him. Success. I can understand your pain, Amana, but you are a strong and wise man, and you should not be mourning yet. I know the cult, and they have no magical powers. However, I also know the danger your boy Fuego faces, and I have no intention of leaving him in their hands. I am going to rescue them. Pause for a few moments, and then turn to leave the hut. You've only taken a couple steps when you hear Amana's voice. You will not go alone. Tell me your plan, and I will come with you. We got an achievement for recruiting Amana. All right.
Fast.
Yeah, we did good. Let's talk to Taitoa. Ayata shows you which hut is Taitoa's. He's not yet left the hut to go fishing. Recently, however, Taitoa has not been fishing much at all because he's been looking for his brother, Inata. His brother is bedridden because of a fishing accident. I was looking after his brother, Inata. He knows where he is. He's in bed. As soon as you enter the hut, you are reprimanded by Taitoa. What are you doing? Can't you see that there's a sick person here? Get out! Okay. We can just leave, because he told us to, or we can use our medicine to attempt to help his brother.
Aren't our medicine, like, real bad? Are we a bad doctor?
We only have 3 points in medicine. We have enough to add a 4th point in medicine before we do this, but, yeah, I don't know.
I think we should do it. I think we should add the point.
Okay. All right.
Slightly better doctor.
We failed.
Oh, God.
You approach Inata. His protective brother starts to protest, but Ayata stops him and calms him down. Examining the abrasion, you can see it's not very serious, but also it's not been cleaned at all. You start cleaning the wound, and Inata howls with pain. Pushing Ayata and hitting you, Taito shouts he wants you out of his hut. You exchange glasses with Ayata and leave the hut disappointed. Alright, well, we didn't get him. Menuari. Ayata to a dugout, and you paddle together to Menuari's usual fishing spot. You reach him quickly and glide right up next to his canoe. First he seems to be ignoring your presence, then he barks at you. You are frightening the fish. Find your own spot. Does not seem happy to see you. Okay, good. This check is observation, which you know we got. We have maxed out our observation. We are the master of observation. Or we could just decide that, well, this guy seems rude. We don't want him on our team.
We'll get the fisherman. Every time we can use observation.
Yeah. Success. You watch him fishing, wonder whether he help you on his rescue mission. Something about his concentration of bearing gives you the impression he is indeed a brave man, but also deeply melancholic. Detect a hint of guilt in his unblinking eyes. This is what you can tell from fishing. Fishing is the window to the soul, after all. Tell a lot about a man by how he fishes. We are going to rescue Fuego and all those who have been taken by the masked men. All of them. The man raises his head and fixes you with his large, bright eyes. That is a brave plan. I will help. All right, we've recruited Menuari. Return to your hut after having approached and spoken to 3 men suggested by Yata. The sun is falling fast towards the horizon of the great expanse of the ocean. I was afraid that no one would come with us, Jake. There is hope, however. Fear has not completely taken over this village. I just hope we are enough. There are 4 of you to go on the rescue attempt. Maybe you're enough to have less of a disadvantage. Nonetheless, you will have to plan the attack carefully so as not to be seen. Surprise will clearly be an important element of your raid. Alright.
I wonder if we got the other guy, if the village itself would have joined up.
I don't know. Okay, so we can go check out the cult's camp, or we could check out their ritual cave.
Let's do the camp. It might not be there.
Alright, we'll go check out the camp. You're walking around the huts, watching the villagers in their activities. You're a stranger amongst these people, but at the same time, you feel no negativity, discomfort, or hostility from them. Despite not being one of them, they do not seem scared of you. Rather, they treat you as an honored guest. I will need to have a clearer picture of the cult's camp. You are explaining to Yata that in order to rescue Fuego and maybe the other villagers who were captured, he will need more information about the enemy camp. Tonight, when the twilight arrives, you see Ayata heading away from the village, giving you the briefest of meaningful glances, telling you to follow. Again, you walk for what seems like an eternity, but eventually she motions you to slow the pace. You understand that you are near. You're on a small rocky outcrop, hidden by trees. At the base of the rocks, you can see the camp. It seems to be mostly tents, though there are some huts made from wood and corrugated iron. They look to have been built only recently. There they are. You scan the camp with close attention, but so far you can see no sign of the cult. It looks just like a normal military outpost. I wonder if you have not been in too much of a hurry to connect them to the London cult. Okay, we can just wait, or we can use our observation to watch for movement.
You know what we're doing.
Waiting and doing absolutely nothing.
Yes. Totally.
Success on our observation check. You see various men sitting around a fire at the center of the camp eating a meal. Others are moving around the camp. Even from a distance, you can tell that most of them are white Europeans, as you already saw in the village. It must be hot near the fire. Many of them are bare-chested. By the dim light of the fire, you can see the dark shape of on their wrists, but you don't need to get any closer to know it's the cult's eye tattoo. Every single one of these people is Count Olaf. Oh my gosh. When they have finished eating, instead of extinguishing the fire, some of the men bring more wood and start to build up the fire, increasing its diameter and intensity. After a few minutes, 2 men come out of one of the huts carrying a dead body. As they approach the pyre, you're able to get a better look at the body. It is one of the villagers. The body is covered in pockmarks, and despite the fact that you cannot be sure from this distance, you suspect that they are familiar marks of the disease. Throw the corpse onto the fire. Yata turns her head away, her hands closed in fists, shaking with horror and rage. Ayata struggles to contain her pain and anger, and you can see straight through her seemingly calm exterior. For now, you decide it's better not to say anything, and you turn back into the forest in silence. Was that useful for your plan? You nod. Now you know exactly where the prisoners are kept. You can start formulating a plan to rescue them. All right.
Do we? All we know is the corpses are kept there.
Yeah, we know where the corpse hut is. That's important. All right, well, let's check out their ritual cave. Rays of sunlight filter down through the jungle vegetation, warming your skin. You've been walking with Ayata for some time, and eventually she turns to you and gestures for you to be silent and move more slowly. You're approaching the cave where the cult conducts its rituals. The thick jungle opens into a small beach. They walk up here in a line. Approach the entrance of the cave carefully, making sure that there's no one around or inside. Then you light a torch and go inside. I think they come here for this. As you're moving deeper into the cave, Ayata holds the torch near the cave walls, illuminating the strange and ugly pictograms. I'm an art critic now. These drawings were here long before they came to this island. They have been here since ancient times. Symbols on the wall are heavily styled, a bizarre hybrid of rock painting and Egyptian hieroglyphics. Sure, why not? You make out what seem to be people worshipping and others who seem to be suffering. All around these figures are unspeakable and terrible creatures, dark horrors with such bizarre shapes that they seem to change as you look at them. At various points you recognize the now familiar eye symbol. You reach the end of the cave, which opens to a large space with a natural rock dome. The drawings all lead to the far end, where you can see a much larger picture. It looks like an altar surrounded by men, wearing what you recognize as a stylized version of the cult's masks and kilts. In the center, there is something which emerges from what looks like a well. It's a mass of black, but you manage to distinguish something, perhaps an eye, in the center of the mass. And there's protrusions like black tentacles, and what looks like a representation of a comet. You then notice another detail. Caught up in the tentacles, there's a human figure, screaming, its face contorted horribly in pain. In addition to the pictographs, there are inscriptions written in a strange and incomprehensible alphabet, of which it's hard to understand, and what constitutes a letter or word. No one really understands that language. Okay, we can...
It's incomprehensible. Obviously, it's hard to comprehend.
Yeah, we can ask her what she thinks that it means. We can spend some more time looking around, or we can just leave.
Let's look around. Maybe they have something other than the incomprehensible here.
Sure. You inspect the cave more closely, but aside from the pictographs you've already seen, there's little else of interest. You turn to Ayata and ask her what the pictures mean in her opinion. I have thought about it, and I think it's a prophecy of some kind, whereas the inscriptions could be either a story or a prayer. But the drawing seems to depict a ritual which is supposed to awaken something terrible. Somehow there is a comet involved, too. Free comet. It's a sacrifice, you think, but you don't say anything. The images show the sacrifice in conjunction with the passing of a comet. Your mysterious friend warned you about approaching comet in his last message. Turning through the tropical forest, you're pensive and silent. What you saw in the cave left you with a deep sense of anxiety you can't seem to shake off. You've seen similar things in your nightmares. Yata must have noticed a sense of oppression that lingers around you. Do you think this cave could figure into your plan? Oh, I forgot to check these. Large man will isolate himself from the rest of the village to tend to his sick brother. Yeah. Child smart fisherman. Okay, yeah. Anyway, do you think this cave could figure into your plan? No. Remember now that this was the original reason why you came to the cave, and you consider it now carefully. On reflection, you decide the cave is too risky a location for any sort of ambush or attack. Okay. The new chapter is called The Strenuous Fight of the Little Men. That's a title. I hate it when the little men get into a strenuous fight. Let's see. Bunch of the cult camp. Cult's cave. Alright. Well, we got stuff. Character sheet. We've almost got enough to max out speechcraft. I would like to do that before the end. We'll get there. You're lying in your hut. Oh man, it's already your hut. You just took over really fast here.
I live here now.
I live here now. This is now my home. Lying in your hut and staring at its thatched palm roof, losing yourself in thoughts about the upcoming mission and its obvious dangers. Then your thoughts turn to something else, something which you have ignored since you first regained consciousness on this island. How the hell did you even get here? Now you have an idea of where you are. The answer seems utterly impossible. When the Serenity became lost in the fog, it had been heading towards South America, but this island is not in the Caribbean. When you saw the stars on the first night, you got a shock. First, you could not recognize a single constellation until, that is, you knew what to look for. The constellations of the Southern Hemisphere seem to be on a Polynesian island in the middle of the Pacific. It is already astounding that you have survived, let alone made such a journey while unconscious. Your thoughts are interrupted by the entrance of Ayata, whose face appears as she pulls a curtain to one side. How are you, Jake? Oh, that's enough experience points. Yes, we've maxed speechcraft. Nice. Ayata stands, silently waiting your reply. Her beautiful face is marred by a worrying frown. She, too, has probably had trouble sleeping, preoccupied with thoughts of your dangerous plan. We could say, I don't know, We can say that we're worried, or we can pretend to be fine.
We don't need to worry them before we enter, combat. We can be fine, stoic.
All right, we're gonna feign fine, and you? I'm nervous. And I won't look you in the eyes. It's as if she wants to conceal her fears from you, even whilst confessing the very same. All right, we can say be certain and say we have to do it. We can persuade her that even though the plan is perilous, it's normal to be afraid. It's important. Or we can focus on we can focus on describing the plan. We will avoid conflict as best we can. It's a rescue, not a battle.
I think we should be the first one.
Just be like, it'll work. I'm
Endless confidence.
I'm a British white man. I have no end to confidence.
It has never betrayed us yet.
We have to do it. Of course, it is life and death, but will we be able to do it? Anna looks at you, her face overcast with doubt. She's starting to think that you have no hope of success. We can reassure her and say it's normal to be worried, or we can say that we have to try for Fuego's sake. Well, we feigned a lot of confidence so far.
Yeah. I think we should be like, yeah, we got this. We're 100%.
Yeah, it's normal to be worried. So you too are worried. Of course, overconfidence breeds rashness. Remaining skeptical is critical when making plans. The important thing is not to let your concerns become irrational. Okay, we can encourage by saying we have a mission that is too important to let fear overcome us, or we can comfort her by saying they won't even notice us and we will rescue Fuego.
We're not really stealth people, are we? Like, we have nothing in.
Oh no,
right?
No, we have we have literally 0 points in agility.
So confidence all the way.
All right.
We do not stealth here.
Although we did recruit the super agile fisherman and the strategist. We didn't recruit the muscle. The other guy who is described as being the muscle. The guy that we didn't get. So. All right. Anna stares deep into your eyes. In them, you see her gratitude for having dispelled her fears. Your eyes linger on her soft, round features. She leans in even closer as their faces are mere inches apart. She closes your eyes and your lips touch. Ooh. Oh, man. Oh, don't look at that man butt on the screen. Oh, no. It's what I always wanted to see, Jake Huntington's ass.
Well, now I gotta draw that. Thanks for...
Your hands begin to explore each other's bodies as you continue kissing even more passionately. Ooh. Soon you're both free of the few clothes you had been wearing, and your kisses too start to wander all over each other's skin. Oh.
Why? You didn't know him.
We've known her for 3 days.
We're gonna give her like smallpox or something by accident.
You enter her gently, and your bodies move together as one, as if rocked by the ocean.
Remember back when he sat there and like cared about the memory of his wife and all that?
Yeah. You become lost in each other, forgetting the passage of time, the mission, the cult, everything. The moment is transmuted by the hot tropical night, by your bodies, and by your complicity into the raw pleasure of carnal abandon.
I'm waiting for the moment where her head turns into the head of his wife.
When you separate, you both lie for some time in silence, arms loosely draped over the other. After the horrors of recent months, you consider it impossible that you could again experience such joy. Hey, guess who called it? As Ayana falls asleep, your thoughts inevitably return to Helen, and her face is the last image in your mind before you fall asleep.
God damn it.
Yep. Oh, that was an achievement. Apparently, we did a good job. Apparently, that the whole thing was about seducing Ayana, I guess. Sure.
All the fake confidence was just to get her to, her guard down. Jeez, Jake Huntington's an asshole.
Yeah, kind of. The darkness of the forest is only broken by moonlight when there are gaps in the trees, and when there are, you look up to see the heavens full of stars, far more than in the northern hemisphere. Ayata is leading the way with a determined stride. Behind you are the men who are successful in recruiting for this mission, all following cautiously and in total silence. You come to the outcrop which juts over the cult's campsite and stop to observe the situation. Everything is silent, the camp is asleep. They know the superstitious nature of the islanders. They assume they do not need fortifications or surveillance. Start walking down the narrow path that leads to the beach. The biggest of all the wood and corrugated iron buildings is in the center of the camp. You suspect that's where they're keeping Fuego and the other kidnapped villagers. I thought the whole point was that we were figuring out where that was. Why are we suspecting that? You quickly reach the camp and have no problems getting close to the central hut. However, when you get there, you see that it's guarded by a heavily built man. He has large muscles and thighs like tree trunks. Every so often he gets up, circles the building, and sits back down again. His presence confirms your initial guess that this is where they are keeping the prisoners. Okay. We can use our non-existent fighting stat to just fight the guard head on. We can ask Amana to help you find the right moment to slip inside using his planning. We can ask Manuari to neutralize the guard using stealth, using a backstab.
Let's backstab this guard.
Okay.
If he doesn't exist, he doesn't come back and bite us in the ass later.
Manuari pounces the guard. The guard throws a punch, but Manuari swerves it and ducks behind him. The guard doesn't even know where he is when Manuari comes back at him with a succession of rapid punches to the back of the head. Together you drag the guard's unconscious body into a shadow and enter the building. Inside the building is mostly bare. There are some shelves and the walls full of objects and containers. Ooh, objects! An object immediately strikes your attention. Of course, we love objects. It looks like a syringe, but any syringe you've ever seen. You pick it up and hold it to the light. Yes, it really is a syringe, but it has more than one needle. It has a brass mounting with 4 tiny needles arranged in a shape you recognize immediately. An objection with this instrument would certainly leave the strange marks you saw on the backs of the heads of the sick in Zanzibar. You shiver involuntarily at the memory and put the strange syringe into your pocket. Love to carry around a horrible disease. You know, just you never know when you might need it. You return to looking around. At the far end of the room, there are several camp beds, but they're empty. Then Ayata silently attracts your attention and points to a large trapdoor in the floor. When you open it, a terrible stench hits your nostrils. Straight away, you recognize that sickeningly sweet and nauseous smell. It's the smell of illness and death. What are my notes? Oh, I have the cult syringe. A special syringe filled with the mysterious liquid that the cultists used to infect their victims. Neil leaves a mark that vaguely resembles the shape of an eye. Means of contagion. Okay, yeah. Alright, you take a lantern from one of the shelves and go through the trap door and down the ladder below it. Okay, we can ask one of our 2 friends to stand guard here, or we can just keep going with everybody.
At the contagion hut? Yeah, let's protect the contagion hut. Let's leave the silent doodle here.
The silent dude? Who's the silent dude?
The sneak thief we have.
Stealth man. Okay, Manuari, the guy who beat up the guard. Mayuri glides silently over to the door and then gives you the signal that he's in position. You can continue. You descend the few steps with some difficulty and find yourself in an underground room. At least as wide as the building, if not more. The smell is now unbearable. There are several men and women. Shining light from lantern towards them, you see that they are the missing villagers. Many of them are covered head to toe with sores typical of the disease you saw in Zanzibar. So that's what the cult's doing, infecting these people, using them as guinea pigs? I mean, are you surprised, Jake Huntington?
Yeah, I know, right? Spectre is not exactly the best doctor.
A small figure steps forward from this horrific scene. Amana lets out a muffled cry. It's Fuego. He is no longer the cheeky, sprightly boy that you've come to know. He's been ravaged by disease. Chief picks him up and takes him in his arms, and he looks at you worriedly. You touch the boy's forehead and discover he's feverish. Your eyes travel immediately to the back of the head, and yes, that mark is there. Look at the others. They are greatly weakened by the disease, and they will not be able to climb the ladder to escape. You promise you will return for them, and as you ascend the ladder with Fuego, you start thinking about how you might do this. Climb out the trap door, and your companion's waiting there. He had no problems. As you're leaving the building, you hear indistinct noises coming from the camp. Maybe they have just heard you, or perhaps it's just time to change turns for the guard. You can't be certain either way, but you cannot take any chances. Still carrying Fuego, you run out of the camp as fast as you can. You're running through the dense vegetation of the jungle, trying to put as much distance as possible between yourself and the camp. You cannot help thinking of the poor diseased villagers locked underground, and that you weren't able to save them. Yeah, we sure messed that up. Okay, well, rescue mission over. That's it. How dreams of little men drown is the next chapter.
We done big fucked up and left like our allies in their base and then just gave up?
Well, we had no way of getting like 30 people up a ladder and out when they're like completely incapacitated. Was the idea. So I think the idea is we're bringing Fuego back and we're saying, look, everyone's still alive. We can now rally the whole village to go and murder everybody. I think is the idea.
Gotcha.
When you at last get back to the village, John's first light is turning out the sea a deep pink color. You're still holding Fuego in your arms, and he's boiling hot. He hasn't said a word since you left the cult's campsite. Yana looks at him now with growing anxiety. We saved Fuego. We got an achievement.
Saved is a loaded word. We repossessed Fuego.
You managed to save Fuego from the cult camp. Unfortunately, you couldn't do anything for the others, which you had to leave behind to the disease and probably death. Great. Excellent. Okay. I love to leave my friends to die. Feel something sharp in your thigh. You put your hand in your pocket and feel small, sharp shards of glass. The syringe broke during your escape. It's now useless, so you throw it away. It seems bad. It seems real bad. It got out. That's why you shouldn't have carried the disease with you. What are you doing? All of a sudden, Fuego starts convulsing in your arms. He's having a seizure. Take him inside the hut, which by now you think of as yours, and lay him on your bed. You must try to somehow bring down his temperature and stabilize him, but it will take time. You know that very soon the cult will already be on their way. Okay, we can try medicine to stabilize him, or we can just say, good luck, sick boy, and move to try to defend the village.
Do we have any medical kit on us at all?
No.
So what possible manifestation are we going to do to help this poor kid?
I don't know.
Let's attempt it anyways.
Sure. I don't have enough experience points to put another point in medicine, so I bet we're going to fail. Let's try it. Yep. We failed an achievement. You tried various techniques, but nothing so far has brought Fuego's temperature down. Yeah, various techniques. That's what we had to do. Various techniques. Ayata suggests various local plant remedies, but it's now clear that there's little more you can do to improve his condition. Amon is at the door of the hut, watching you with a serious and passive expression. Alright, time to defend the village. We have no real way to defend ourselves from those men. We have to leave now. You agree with Ayata. She shows you there's a small island a few hours away by canoe which you could go hide. She said she's proposed the idea to the other villagers several times, but no one would listen. Perhaps the current situation which you have inadvertently created might help convince them. Great.
Jake Huntington does whatever the worst option is.
So we can escape with just Ayata, or we can attempt to organize all the villagers to escape with us.
That's actually a difficult one. How much of a coward is Jake Huntington? Are we just saving the girl and running away?
Like, I feel like we have constantly attempted to fight off things, even though we were like totally failing at it.
That's true.
The entire
That's
game. True. And also, like, the only skills we have are observation and speechcraft, which you would think would work with organizing.
You'd also imagine Jake Huntington to be like, this is my last chance at owning a home. So he has to save at least his hut.
I mean, he already owns a home, in theory, but maybe the cult destroyed it.
Goes back, it's just more cultists.
Alright, well, we're going to organize.
Yeah.
There are pirogues on the northern beach. They should be enough for everybody. Without knowing our route, it would take them many days to find us. There's not much choice. So we can use our speechcraft to convince the villagers to leave their homes, or we can let Ayata try to convince them. Well, we have now maxed out speechcraft, so there's no way we can't talk. We can fail this. Yeah. Listen, everyone. They, the Rateau, are on their way to attack the village. This time, they are not coming to take a person, but to kill us all. I had nothing to do with this, I promise. Someone else did it. It wasn't me. The villagers gather around, listening with a mix of incredulity and fear. They do not have magical powers, but they do have weapons and terrible poisons. They are using the kidnapped men to test their poisons, and when they die, they throw their bodies on a fire. We found those who were still alive, imprisoned underground. They will not be alive for much longer. That confirms what you're saying. You and Ayata are getting ready to escape. You must be prepared to leave as quickly and easily as possible. You all have to organize an orderly evacuation. The villagers are following you silently through the dense jungle. You have gone far, though. Before you see directly ahead a company of cultists armed with rifles. The rifles are already loaded and aimed straight at you. Ayata quickly grabs your hand and pulls you into the cover of an area of even denser vegetation. The people of the village are not so lucky. See many of them fall to the ground of their barrage of rifle shots. Great!
What the hell?
We just ran him straight to the firing line. Excellent. You don't even have time to think. Some of the cultists are already running through the clouds of gunpowder smoke looking for you. Come on, we have to hide. You and Ayata start running as fast as you can. She's pulling you through the vegetation, holding your hand even more tightly and not looking back. Change direction several times. You do not even slow for a moment, despite nearly falling several times and having your skin ripped to shreds by thorns and sharp branches. Cliff suddenly opens up before you. Ayata pulls you close to her and guides you through the narrow space between the cliff face and the trees until you come to a small cave and crawl inside. You would never have suspected the existence of this large hole in the rock, and it should be almost impossible to find. Can you feel a strong sense of guilt, like a knot in your stomach? It's so the massacre flashes through your mind. Get up and think this is all your fault. Really? I'm shocked. It's all your fault, huh? It's like, no, it's the children that are wrong. Real Seymour moment. Try to wriggle into a new position within the confined space of the cave. You've been here for hours, and every part of your body's aching. The idea that was after a sufficiently long time, the cultists would come to the conclusion you were dead as the rest of the village. That only reinforces your sense of guilt. Sun disappearing over the horizon of the ocean. Look at Ayata. She must be suffering both physically and mentally, but she has not said a word since you came to the cave, nor shown any signs of suffering. Night has fallen. It's been several hours since you last heard the shouts and other noises of the cultists searching the jungle. It's reasonable to suppose that they have by now abandoned their search, thinking that they've killed everyone, or that if anyone escaped, they are long gone. Leave the cave and move silently towards the beach where the canoes are. Fortunately, you are still extremely cautious because near the pirogues are 2 armed cultists. Alright, we can use our observation skill to study their movements, which we will obviously do. But we could also just wait around and hope they leave. Or we can just decide, well, these boats, we're never going to find these boats. We're going to have to go find a different means of escape. These boats are completely locked off to us.
I think we know what our course of action.
Yeah, we have to observe. It's true. Success. The men seem to you to have a military bearing. You tell Ayata to be ready. According to your observations of their movements, one of them will soon go off on patrol the other side of the beach, and that will be the moment to move. The 2 cultists have been immobile and silent for some time when one pulls something from his coat pocket. You cannot see what it is until his face is illuminated by a small flame, which lights his cigarette. His partner starts walking away, probably to patrol the other side of the beach. This could be your only chance. Oh, God. Okay. Well, this isn't going great for us. We could use our non-existent agility to backstab him while he tries to smoke. Or we could have our girlfriend, like, jump out and go, hey, look at me. Hey, look at me. And use that as an opportunity to stab him.
Is it sad that the second option might be the only one that actually works?
Yes, because the first one's an agility check, and we still have 0 points in agility.
Yeah, let's let's go put the other person's life in danger.
Yeah, what's one more life? Ayata goes off a short distance and then emerges from the jungle out on the beach, making noise to attract the cultist's attention. He immediately draws his pistol and points it at her. Ayata throws herself onto the stand, pretending to beg for mercy. The cultist approaches her, lowering his gun. You have crept behind him and you knock him unconscious with a large stone that you took from the edge of the beach.
Whoa.
It seems they were determined to stop anyone from escaping. They have damaged the canoes to make them unusable. Upon further inspection, you find one pirogue which is less damaged than the others and should still float. You pull the canoe into the surf and Ayata gets in. In the heavy silence of the night, you drift out into the ocean. Great. Alright, the map says we are now in ocean.
It's another place that we've fucked up and abandoned.
It's true. Sun reflects off of every single wave. You're surrounded by the immensity of the ocean. You have no conception of how much time has passed, and you are lying dazed in the pirogue. Your skin is taut, cracked, and burnt by the unrelenting sun. Thirst has overtaken you. You have no strength to paddle whatsoever. The boat is now at the mercy of the wind and currents. You don't understand how it happened, but somebody out lost her bearings. Might have been the pain of losing Fuego, the panic of the escape, or perhaps it was just the current altered your course and she didn't notice. Whatever reason, it means that instead of reaching the island you intended, you are now drifting helplessly, surrounded by an infinite expanse of flat water. Great! With great effort, you manage to lift your head. You look at Ayata, who's lying in the other part of the canoe. It looks like she's breathing, but you can't be certain. May it just be the slight rise and fall of the ocean. You let your head fall back down. It's too hard to keep it raised for long. Time to die. Suddenly your fingers feel wet. At first you suspect your mind's playing tricks on you, but then it feels increasingly real. Is the pirogue sinking? You lift your hands to see it's not water on your fingers, but blood. In front of you, Helen is splayed out on the bed. Oh no. The sheets are soaked in blood, and it keeps flowing from her mouth, body, and eyes like red tears. Why didn't you save me, Jake? Instinctively, you want to scream. So we can go, no, that's not what happened, no! Or we can approach Helen despite all the blood.
You know what? Let's pick the first option on account that we have definitely deserved that.
No! you. These were not your symptoms. Your illness was not like this. They were. I thought it was tuberculosis. Helen looks at you smiling, pretends to cough, and then gets out of bed. Were these my symptoms? Helen is coming towards you. At first you take a step back, but then you see she's transformed back into your Helen. Oh, the beautiful Helen. She's no longer covered in blood. Before she opens her arms. So we can embrace her, or we can say, "Why are you doing this to me, Helen?"
So we're actively dying here, right? Is this what's happening?
Maybe, I don't know.
Give her a hug. We've sullied her name plenty so far.
Sure, she deserves a hug. You embrace your wife. You can feel her warmth and her scent. It really is her. Hold her tightly in your arms. Sound, starting low, begins to rise up. You catch movements out of the corner of your eyes as if something is crawling inside the walls of your bedroom. Movement seems to grow, and now the walls are pulsating slowly as if something living is pushing on them from behind. Oh, cool. Try to warn Helen to extricate yourself from her embrace so that you can keep this latest threat. You can keep away from it, escape. But your arms keep a vice-like grip on you. Like the jaws of a trap, she whispers into your ear. Shh, my love, don't be afraid. There was this thing made of millions of parts which crawled inside me, and you just let it happen. And so now you must let this being crawl inside you too.
Oh. That's bad.
The walls begin to crack, and the crack begins to spread and widen. Through the cracks emerge terrible black shapes like tendrils searching to suffocate the air itself. The grow of the walls, they begin to look like roots or tentacles. Then you become aware that they are not moving, growing randomly. They are reaching towards you. Sharp pain tears you from the nightmare. Perhaps you had some sort of seizure in your dream, because now your whole body is racked with painful cramps. Feel a tremendous heat, but it's not the sun. It's inside your body. It's fever, and it is rising. Trying to sit up and call to Ayata, but the canoe's rocking. With great difficulty, you clutch at the edge of the boat and haul yourself up. The sea is calm, but you see Ayata leaning over the sea. She has sunstroke and has probably gone mad in the heat. You try to shout to stop her, but you're too late and you watch her fall overboard. Bye! With all the effort you can possibly muster, you try to reach out to her, but you're physically incapable of moving. She floats, almost motionless, on the surface of the water. She doesn't have the energy to pull her head out of the water. Making a desperate attempt to grab her foot, but you lose consciousness and fall back into the boat.
Oh, good job.
The last image you see is Ayata's body drifting away. Bye! You come to and pass out again several times. When you find yourself again conscious, you try to open your eyes and move, but you are unable. You're finally able to open your eyes. It's night. It's much cooler, and the drop in temperature relieves your pain somewhat. Your physical pain, at least. Think sorrowfully of Ayata, Fuego, all the villagers, all the lives you were unable to save. Like Helen. They're all Helen in their own way. You cough, and the sudden movement gives you a searing pain in your chest, your shoulder, and your arms. Perhaps the time has come. Close your eyes. You're ready. And you open your eyes again. You see little tongues of mist reaching over the sides of the pirogue. Then you black out again. A loud and violent noise brings you back to consciousness. It takes you some time to recognize what it is. The foghorn of a ship. Your little pirogue is suddenly hit by a large wave despite the total lack of wind. Another foghorn blast just before you lose consciousness yet again. Something big is coming. We have finished chapter 3. Next chapter, Revenant.
What's there left to do?
I don't know. You are lying staring at the ceiling, which seems to be pulsating and rocking slowly and steadily. Suddenly you're convinced that it's about to break and come crashing down on you, so you flinch involuntarily. There's no way of knowing whether the latest hallucination is the result of your long days spent drifting, parched in the open seas, or some other mysterious cause. Cool. The bed in which you find yourself is soft and comfortable, but you cannot really enjoy it. In fact, you feel a certain amount of revulsion. It's too soft, too calm. Half expecting fearsome, dark, slimy appendages to begin emerging from the sheets and suffocate you at any moment. Having spent several weeks at sea at the mercy of the wind, tide, and currents, you were picked up by a ship and taken to the United States of America. Sure, why not? All your memories of the island, the cult, Ayata, are all tangled together like a confused vortex in your mind. They're all strange, distant images, but nevertheless you're finding it increasingly difficult to distinguish them from your present reality. Polite rap on the door tells you your food's been prepared for dinner. You open your eyes. You've been in this hotel for the past 2 days. Captain made it known that the Sunbird Drifter was in fact a scholar from London. The University of New York offered to help you out until you could return to England, and so they gave you bed, food, and a small sum of money sufficient for essentials. Sure.
Aren't we wanted in England?
Yes, probably. We mowed down a bunch of people, bunch of cultists with a machine gun.
Yeah. I would assume going back is just as bad.
Yeah. Considering whether or not to accept the invitation to dinner, you see a note slipped under the door. Attendant, a note for you. So we can pick up the note immediately, or we can just wait until the guy behind the door leaves.
Pick up the note.
All right. You jump up out of bed. I'm only taking a step or two towards the door when a rush of blood to your head makes you see stars. Walls around the room are spinning to infinity. All around you see faces and eyes in the dark fractal arrangements. They are everywhere. On your walls, floor, your skin. The head rush subsides. The walls of the room appear to have returned to normal levels of solidity. You rub your temples, take a few steps, take a few deep breaths, and finally go pick up the note. Still at the threshold of the door, you open the envelope and begin reading. Dear Dr. Huntington, my name is Jean-Baptiste Martin, biologist and surgeon. I heard about you from various fragmentary reports here at the university. I'm as curious as everyone to hear the story of your shipwreck and salvation, but perhaps even more so about the rumor that you're a doctor. We don't have those here in America. I think I heard while questioning one of the men of the ship which brought you here to New York the name of Martinus Wilhelm Bezernik. And I would like to invite you to my home laboratory so that we may discuss various matters of which you no doubt be our mutual interest. Yours sincerely, Jean-Baptiste Martin. Also, the envelope is a business card with an address. Oh, yeah?
You would think that our reputation would have gotten here first.
Yeah, like, one, we were kept out of the papers as for our discoveries, and then we ran around like a madman yelling, why is my name not on paper? Why name not on paper? Why name not on paper? Yeah, so
you're a doctor. Theoretically.
Yeah. On the back in beautiful calligraphy is the time which you're expected. All right. New journal entry. Colleagues. Okay. Sure. Honestly, we're becoming more of a doctor, because now that I've maxed out observation and speechcraft, I'm putting points in medicine, because we definitely don't want to be able to fight or run, so... That's why I've been putting the rest of our experience
At the end of the
in.
game, we finally become an efficient doctor.
Yeah.
Once we have no one left to save.
Yeah. The invitation has astounded you. Over the past few days in New York, you've been feeling like a sort of performing monkey. At dinner, for example, you felt inquisitive glances on you from all sides, for once not threatening, but impertinent nonetheless. This, however, is the first interest you receive from a, quote, colleague, unquote. On one hand, you seem it perfectly normal that your sudden mysterious recovery from the sea should create such curiosity, but on the other, you cannot help but be suspicious of this letter. Okay, we can look for more information about this as Jean-Baptiste Martin. We can just accept the invitation straight out and say, like, there's nothing weird here. Or we can arm ourselves and go get some guns. It's the American way.
I think arming ourselves would be the bad idea, considering we still can't fight.
It's true. But again, we're in America. They're probably going to be really unhappy with us if we don't come with a gun.
That's true. Be like, well, it is in America that just freed themselves from the British, and this British doctor is walking in with the, you know, armed to the teeth.
You know, that's fair. We are a guest. So,
Uh,
should we try to learn more about Jean-Baptiste Martin? Or shall we just say, like, yes, I want to go to dinner with this man. He's perfect.
let's learn more, just in case he's a cultist.
Having decided to find out more about your host before accepting the invitation, you make inquiries at the hotel reception, who direct you to a moderately sized yet well-selected library. Start looking haphazardly, and it's not long before you find information about Martin. He's a French scholar who moved some years to New York to take a seat at the university there. For a young man, he seems to have published quite a number of interesting papers, and the general consensus is that he's a very able and studious fellow of whom great things are expected. Apparently, due to his great curiosity and enthusiasm, he is poised to become an important name in academia, not only in his adopted New York, but worldwide. Reading these details about his life makes you feel much better about the invitation. It may prove a diverting encounter after all. We still have the option to go get guns. Or we could just accept.
Now I think we should get guns.
What? Now that we know that it's safe?
No, this game, every time we've ever hit a point where it was the safe, we immediately came across cultists.
Alright, yeah, let's go arm ourselves. You are a guest in a hotel in a foreign city. You're not exactly in good position to obtain a gun without drawing attention. You don't want to start alarming people, at least not yet. Go downstairs for the evening meal. Taking advantage of a heated discussion among the others, you take and steal a sharp steak knife.
Good enough.
The cold metal pressed against your skin gives you some feeling of security. You ask the hotel receptionist to deliver your reply to Martine and then return to your room. You're aware that your university benefactors are expecting you to re-establish yourself, and it's not hard to suppose that this meeting with Martine could be the first of many. You know you should be considering your moves very carefully. In a few hours, you hear back from Martine. A carriage will be sent to pick you up at the hotel at lunchtime tomorrow. A pleasant chat with colleagues. God, this... So many twists and turns in this story. We've destroyed the population of an entire island with our incompetence. And now we're just, we're just having a nice dinner. You know?
We've managed to Mr. Magoo our way across the entire world in such a way that by the end of this, I'm almost certain that we're just gonna be like winning like a bake-off against somebody as a means of getting the money to just live peacefully. Everybody else is dead, but we're fine. Totally no problems.
We're doing great. Sunset several hours ago, you're sitting silently at the desk in your hotel room. You glance over at the bed as if there were a ferocious animal crouching, ready to attack. Sleeping and dreaming has not exactly been enjoyable recently. Nonetheless, you also know that you cannot very well go to tomorrow's meeting with Martine in this frayed state, and you should try to get at least a few hours of rest. Resolved as much, you were going over to your bed when you hear a noise coming from the direction of the door, and then detect an even farther rustle. We can immediately fling open the door, or we can approach the door and listen at it to try to figure out what's behind it.
Listen sounds like observation.
It's not an observation check, but you are right. Creep closer to the door, tiptoeing and keeping your eyes strained to pick up any further noises. Why would our eyes be strained to pick up further noises? We're hearing through our eyes now. We have synesthesia. Yet you hear nothing, even when you press your ear right up against the wood. You do, however, notice another message at your feet. You bend to pick it up. Dear Jake, I'm sure you are just now beginning to feel safe, far from the insanity which has been surrounding you these past few years. However, a good friend must also point out complacency where he sees it. Be very careful, Jake. The cult is active, very active indeed. You should know by now just how far it extends and how it maintains a presence in the most unexpected of places. Martine is just another line of silk in the web being spun around you. Do not become the fly. So considering all this new message conveys, Your paranoia and suspicion have been confirmed as warranted yet again. You were right to distrust Martine's invitation. What? Okay.
I think we're writing ourselves these notes and then asking the office to drop them underneath our door over the course of the day, just so we can keep our paranoia up.
Yeah, that seems about right. That is, if your mysterious foreman can actually be trusted? Oh, yeah. Maybe we should think about that. What if he in fact has nefarious intentions? Um, accept Martine's invitation, prepare yourself for any eventuality. Unconvinced and ignore the informant. Cancel tomorrow's appointment and arrange to meet Martine in a public place.
The the public place actually sounds like the best option.
I mean, I think that that's going to draw a lot of suspicion since we already accepted his invitation, though.
Well, if he's a cultist, that's a problem. If he's not a cultist, he should understand that that's a like just
It's what you got to do. You got to
good.
do your first date in a coffee shop, you know?
Yeah, exactly that.
Okay. So we want to be cautious. All right. Perplexed by Martine's interest in you, it doesn't have the ring of simple academic curiosity. You decided tomorrow you will send him another message, apologizing and declining his invitation to lunch. To make up for it, you'll propose meeting up in the afternoon at the hotel bar. This way, you'll be able to observe him in a public place, and you won't pull any nasty surprises if there is any basis to your suspicion or the informant's warning. So in the morning, between the hotel restaurant and the bar, Martine's reply is prompt. He's sorry about your setback and says he will be pleased to join you for afternoon tea. Expected some sort of excuse on his part. Perhaps you're suspicious and the informant's message had been exaggerated. You are, however, feeling decidedly more relaxed about the encounter, and you are even becoming somewhat curious about Martine. You're in the smoking lounge when a waiter announces his arrival. We can go greet him, or we can let him come to us. I gotta play hard to get.
Let's greet him. We've already we're paranoid, but we're not uncouth.
At the hotel's front desk, you meet Jean-Baptiste Martine, and the Frenchman shakes your hand warmly. After a brief exchange of pleasantries, you head to the bar. I know full well that for you Englishmen, it's time for afternoon tea, but I should rather have something a little stronger, that is, if you do not object. How's my French accent? Am I good?
Enough.
Are we getting roasted in the comments? It's been many weeks since you felt the joy of easy and pleasurable conversation. You can't help but like this little heavily accented man, and you begin to relax to a degree you thought was impossible for you now. You lose track of time completely until Martine points out it's getting dark. We have lost ourselves in chit-chat, mon ami. At this point, however, it would make more sense to organize ourselves for dinner rather than lunch. I can easily make the necessary arrangements with my housekeepers, perhaps while I show you my laboratory. We can think of a plausible excuse, or we could be like, we're drunk now. Let's go. Let's go see this lab.
He didn't immediately shank us, and he's not wearing a stone head, so I feel confident that he's fine.
Yeah, that's all you need, really. He's cordial and friendly, says our notes. So yeah, let's go. Your trip is rather short, or it seems that way, because you're fascinated by Martine's many anecdotes about many anecdotes, and
oh no,
many stories about the many serious scholars he has met. You find yourself smiling often and even laughing. You've not laughed in a long time. Oh. We have failed an achievement? What achievement? Paranoid caution. Okay. Martine treats you as an honored guest. After making preparations for dinner with the servants, he takes you to his office. Once there, you see it assesses the small laboratory. It accesses the small laboratory that he's installed in his house. I bet that you have come across certain lines of inquiry which can become almost an obsession. Is it not so? We could say yes or nah.
Never, never. We have never had a struggle at all, ever. Nope.
We've never been obsessed with anything. Definitely not.
Not
Definitely
one.
not once. Does that mean I'm the only one afflicted with this madness? Damnation, I thought I might have found a kindred spirit. Martin looks at you again with his cheery smile, undermining your attempts to ignore him and change the subject. He points to a door, but he moves off towards it. You follow. Please, make yourself at home, Dr. Huntington. Enter the dimly lit laboratory. Then as you're crossing the threshold, you suddenly have a strange but definite sensation that despite the darkness and the silence inside, there are other people there. You hear the closing of the door behind you, and someone close the curtains, leaving only a small blade of light. 3 figures emerge from the shadows and advance towards you. Mon Dieu, who are you?
Did we immediately get cultist?
You waste no time in drawing the knife from your sleeve. The first man comes at you, but you take him by surprise and stab him in the stomach. He yelps and falls to the ground. There are 2 more opponents. Martine lets out an effeminate shriek and runs terrified to the farthest corner of the laboratory.
Oh, tell us exactly how you feel, author, about the French.
Uh-huh. Should we attack them now so as not to give them time, or raise our guard and wait for our other 2 opponents to attack us?
The first one, on account that if we wait, they're just going to beat us to death.
Stab, stab, stab. You rush forward, swinging straight at them. They weren't expecting it as they try to avoid your line of attack. You notice them exchanging meaningful looks. They are no doubt working on a coordinated attack. There's no time to lose. Okay. Medicine. Look around the laboratory for anything which could be useful. Attack one of them or leave. We have been pumping our medicine up. Our medicine's at 6 now. 6 out of 8. 8 being the master of medicine.
Gotcha. 6 probably sounds like we might actually be able to succeed there.
Alright, let's try it. Success! It's very difficult to distinguish objects in the darkness of the laboratory, but you manage to find a special-looking bottle containing a transparent liquid. It appears to be carefully and securely sealed shut. It must be an acid. You snatch the bottle and throw it at one of your attackers. The sound of breaking glass is straight away followed by screams and a faint sizzling. Delicious. His screams and manic convulsive gestures distract the other 2 opponents. Time to knock them out. Wait, what other 2 opponents? we already killed one guy. Only sound of the laboratory now is coming from Martine. You find him crouched under the counter with his arms over his head, murmuring a prayer in French. Heart is racing. You realize that more men could arrive at any moment. You must quickly find a way to get out of this static yet perilous situation. Destroy the laboratory. What is with us and destroying laboratories?
We do have precedents. We've done it.
Or we could just run away. We could destroy the laboratory or we could leave.
Ruin it. Nobody can be a doctor but us.
That's right. You are acutely aware that more men can arrive at any moment, or men you've already dealt with will recover enough to launch a new attack. Martine's servants are also at home, and you have no way of knowing whether they too are involved. Martine's still crouched in a corner. He does not even appear to know what's going on. It's overturning the tables. A fire would be useful in drawing the attention of the authorities, specifically the New York Fire Brigade, which would hinder your opponents considerably. Medicine check. Look for flammable substances with which to ignite the laboratory. Success! In the dim light, you start rummaging through flask beakers of the containers, using your nose to find and identify the contents. Frisking the shelves with your fingers, you come across a piece of paper with something scrawled on it. You obviously cannot read it in the darkness, so you pocket it and resume your search. Okay, we got an achievement that we found a clue in Martine's lab, it says. Okay. And we have a drawing of a lighthouse, is what was on that piece of paper, it says. Great. Finally, you recognize sulfuric acid. You spill it over the table and light it with matches you find next to a Bunsen burner. The flames leap up voraciously. Find a window and get ready to smash it to escape. You go over to where Martine is hiding, grab his arm, ready to pull him away. I just lit your house on fire. Let's go, dude. No, 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 do not hurt me. Finally, Martine raises his face and sees that it's you. Beneath the fire, you shout at him to follow you, but then drag him behind you anyway. Martine is terrified and extremely awkward in his movements. You seize him and force him through the window as the flames and the heat begin to grow into a crescendo. You have failed an achievement. We failed the temptation. We failed to not give in to lighting fires, to not burning down buildings. Apparently, if we had burned down less buildings, we would have got this achievement. But we're all about burning down buildings.
We are, in fact, all about burning down buildings. It's like the third biggest thing we've done so far.
It's true. Take a few rapid steps away from the house, pulling Martine along with you. He's in a bad state, and you have to stop to help him. Turning back to the laboratory, you see the flames are starting to rise up out the window. Martine is staring at them as if in a trance. 12 experience points. We're setting the house on fire. In the distance, you can hear the sirens of the New York Fire Brigade. You jettison the professor. You have to get away from here. Later, dude. Light your house on fire. Have fun with that. You leave behind the English-style lawn surrounding the Martine's house. Start running along the road. Eventually, you let go of Martine's arm, so you can go a little further ahead and assess the situation. Wait. You brought Martine with you? Didn't it say we didn't? Yeah, it says you jettison the professor. Whatever. Behind you, you hear Martine stopping yet again to catch his breath. Okay, we can yell, "Come on, Martine, move!" Or we can be patient with him.
You know what? Make him move.
Come on, Martine, move! Give me a moment, please, Dr. Huntington. Suddenly, you hear a noise coming from the far end of the street. There's no way to know whether it's the fire department or more cultists, so you flatten yourself against the wall to avoid being seen. Martine, watching you, does likewise. The noise dies down. No one enters the street. You let out a sigh of relief, and as you prepare to continue to escape, you hear a sound behind you recognize immediately. The click of a revolver being cocked. You slowly turn around. Martine is holding a revolver aimed at your face. Suddenly, his labored breathing has vanished along with his French accent. Dr. Huntington, please follow me immediately and no one will come to harm. We can use speechcraft to distract him, or we can use medicine to decide where to punch him. Probably speechcraft.
Probably speechcraft.
I really feel that I must compliment you on your fantastic acting. I never suspected that you too were a member of the cult. Martin smiles at the flattery and pulls back his sleeve to reveal his wrist tattoo. You seize the opportunity and strike him with your left hand so as to disarm him. Martin manages to retain the gun, but now he's grasping it in a position which is impossible to fire. You are caught in a desperate struggle with him over the possession of the weapon. In the event, he stumbles and slams headfirst into the wall and knocks himself unconscious. Damn, what a cool dude. You bend down and start rummaging through the pockets of the unconscious cultist. You find something interesting inside his jacket pocket. A notebook. It's a black notebook with hard cover and a raffia band keeping it closed. Looking through the white-lined pages, you come across various notes and sketches. On the first page, you recognize the eye symbol of the cult. You put it in your pocket. Once again, find yourself in great danger. There's not much in the way of choice. You must leave New York at once. Why not? Let's go back to sea. That's our solution to everything. To join a boat.
Yeah, it actually has been. This whole time, huh?
Uh-huh. Walk out of the residential area towards the train station. Going back to the hotel makes no sense. There's nothing there you really need. You will take the first train that comes. Traveling to the unknown. Lulled by the rhythmic rocking of the train, you find yourself suddenly immersed in darkness as the train enters the tunnel. It takes a while for your eyes to adjust to dim light, but when they do, you start to distinguish details of the rock formations inside the tunnel. Okay. Rather than a man-made tunnel, it looks like some kind of naturally formed cave. There are hundreds of stalactites and stalagmites all around. As your vision improves even more, you notice a strange gleam on the surface of the rock as if it was covered with something slimy. You can see the same viscous substance forming a large rope-like drops at the tips of the stalactites. All of a sudden, you realize that the walls of the cave are moving towards you. The movement becomes less subtle, and the rock seems to be closing in on your carriage. As the train is ripped to shreds and smashed, glass flies in all directions. You finally understand that you're not being crushed by stalactites, but by giant teeth. Shocking no one, this is yet another dream. You awaken with a violent start, then a barely suppressed scream. You had fallen asleep with your head against the window. You regain your composure and feel the eyes of all the other passengers of the carriage fixed upon you. Thankfully, however, no one dares speak to you. You have no idea how long you've been asleep, how long the journey will take, or even where you're going. Your first train on New York Station, leaving the city only a couple hours shy of dawn. We can get back to sleep, or we can try to read Martine's notebook.
We should read the notebook.
You pick up the notebook and flick through it again. There are more strange symbols and strings of text written in code. It is scant in useful information, however, except a long series of calculations. One of these calculations referred to as a mystery until you see a drawing of a comet and maps of certain locations in North America on the adjacent page. This must be the same comet mentioned by your informant, the same comet prophesied by the drawings in the cave. You shiver involuntarily. You scrutinize the maps, hoping to find further clues, but they are completely without annotation. Keep flipping back and forth through the notebook looking for a pattern. Eventually you do find something. 2 symbols that are completely different to the others and are repeated many times. Seem to refer to 2 cities, Boston and Plymouth. Pull out the piece of paper which you found in the darkness of Martine's laboratory. It appears to be a sketch, perhaps stylized lighthouse, done as hurriedly as possible. This could turn out to be a clue of some kind. Train ends its journey. You can't help but smile when you have learned that you've arrived in a town called Providence. Look at the map to see where it is. You have another surprise. You're very close to New Bedford. Apparently what was supposed to be an attempt to escape has only brought you next to one of the cult's main centers of power. It seems to you now that all the choices you've made so far have been inexorably leading to this destination. Sure. Uh-huh.
Our heroing, through no fault of our own.
Clutching Martine's notebook tightly. When you alight from the train, you do not even bother leaving the station. You go straight to the ticket office. Apparently, you have very few options left, and you need only decide between Boston and Plymouth. Okay. Do we want to go to Plymouth or Boston?
Isn't Plymouth where the cult is?
New Bedford is where the cult is. They when we were like being wined and dined by them, they said that they have their main like town hall in New Bedford.
Gotcha.
I think so anyway. So Plymouth has the lighthouse, right? So that's probably the correct answer. I mean, I guess we go to Boston anyway.
We go to Boston for no reason. Yeah, we'll go to Plymouth. We'll go to Plymouth. We'll go to the lighthouse.
Yeah, sure. Plymouth, the city that gave life to the American Empire since the day of the Pilgrims first landed on its shores. The saltiness of the air overpowers you the moment you leave the station. The sky's leaden and gray, not exactly ideal for free and positive thoughts. The parts of the sky free from the clouds see a faint luminescent trail that puts a crack in the heavens. A comet! Look around. You don't have many options or clues to help you in tracking down the cult. So we can go to the city center, we can explore the harbor, or we could go to the lighthouse? ? Oh, but why would we go to the lighthouse?
Let's go to the city center.
I think we should go to the lighthouse, dude.
Oh, yeah, fine. We'll do the actual story.
You're following a hunch. Perhaps the note which you found in Martine's laboratory pointed not only to Plymouth, but to something more specific. The cult might have even been connected to the lighthouse, or just something else nearby. Decided that it's probably worthwhile to have a look at any case. Look out towards the sea and straight away see it silhouetted in the distance. In reality, it's a double lighthouse? 2 lighthouses right next to each other? One must be a fake lighthouse. Decided to lure off people who would do the lighthouse ill. Head down towards the beach, which leads all the way to the imposing edifice on the horizon. As you're walking, you come across 2 sailors and catch snippets of their conversation. One of them's talking about a comet passing over the skies of America that will be visible for some days, even in daylight. You would like to tell them you've already seen it, and that it's considered a bad omen. But you're on walking, lulled by the gentle rustle of the surf, your eyes fixed on the lighthouse. As you are walking, an unnerving thought creeps in your mind. Walking to the lighthouse like this across the beach seems a little naive. If the cult really is in the lighthouse or somewhere nearby, they'll see you from a mile off. Cursing your carelessness, you walk away from the sea towards the relative cover of the rocks. You can have them see you coming, yet your caution alone does not explain your hurry to get away from the water. Realize you also had a simultaneously creeping fear of the water rising inside you with every wave. And you know that's not just the memory of your recent shipwreck creating this anxiety, but rather your perception of a presence, some kind of threat coming from the direction of the waves. Each small crashing iteration intones black menacing curses. Looking towards the lighthouse, you spy a man. You're quite sure that he is one of them, even if you are too far away to see the inevitable tattoo on his wrist. From the distance, one might think he was a walker out for a stroll, enjoying the view and the bracing sea air. You, however, won't be fooled so easily. You stop to watch him from afar, and before long he looks around, takes an irregular detour, and disappears between some large rocks. A hidden entrance! That must be another of their temples. You might have just found the hiding place of the cult. Easily find opening to the entrance by following the footprints of the man. It's a very small opening between the rocks leading to the passage. Hear muffled rhythmic sounds coming from deep inside. Now, as beyond all doubt, the cult, the comet, the ritual going on now, everything is finally converging inside that small opening. Rocky Jaws.
Do we have any items on us at all? Are we doing this completely unarmed?
I think so. Oh, no, it says we still have the steak knife. We are steak-knived. Slowly you approach the opening in the rocks. The smell of the sea is strong, but there is something else, a stench which increases and overcomes the initial salty dampness. Rocks the walls around are covered in slimy substance, clearly not a type of algae. It smells acrid and sickeningly sweet, and so disgusting as to be almost unbearable. The tunnel is very tight, and you immediately realize it would be extremely difficult and not impossible to enter without being seen. You're also convinced that this must be the only entrance. It's certainly logical, meaning this place is very easy to defend. A few meters further on, it becomes immediately dark. A faint glow is visible at the far end, however. Silently and cautiously continue along the passageway. The cave gets narrow in some places, and you must squeeze up against the greasy walls. See very little in the almost darkness, and you can hear large strips of the cave against the distant echoes of chanting and drumming, but it all sounds so strange due to the warped acoustics. The walls are greasy. This is our chance for another fire. As you are progressing, you begin to feel lightheaded and the first symptoms of a fever, causing you to stop and lean against the wall for a moment. The idea did not seem immediately absurd to you. You might have thought that you were suffering from the first symptoms of the disease, as if it had been waiting dormant, hidden inside you, only to be awakened by this awful place. You're soon walking, trying to reject this foolish notion. Suddenly, the tunnel widens into a cave, but you are still unable to make out any details about your surroundings. Okay, we can move closer for a better look, or we could use our observation to observe. Time to observe.
No, we don't need observation.
No, we do. Success. You spy esoteric symbols carved in the walls. You become aware of someone's presence. It's a man just behind the entrance to the room. Looks to be hewn from the rock. You were through with hiding. It's time to confront the cult head on. Okay. Go in with your hands up. Say, my name is Jake Huntington and I surrender. Or just run in and start punching people.
Is either of those an actual check?
No, none of these are a check. I want to just say, my name is Jake Huntington and I surrender.
Absolutely.
It's the best quote. You gotta say our catchphrase. My name is Jake Huntington and I surrender.
I surrender.
You walk into a large rock chamber and see the walls are covered in esoteric symbols. You recognize the ice symbol, the tattoo, and then certain shapes that you saw in the cave on Ayata's Island. I'm Jake Huntington and I surrender. Assuming no reply, you repeat yourself. Despite the relative lack of illumination in the chambers, you detect numerous people around you, far more than you first anticipated. Nobody cares. I'm Jake Huntington, and your words are abruptly interrupted by a blow to your stomach from a truncheon, which puts you on your knees. Cultist man. Yes, we know exactly who you are. Second strike knocks you unconscious. Great. Signed a friend. God, we're doing good at stopping this cult.
Fucking brilliant.
As if you were emerging from the deepest of seas, you fade back into reality and your eyelids feel the compulsion to open. It's a lengthy and awkward process involving many painful shoulders along the length of your body, especially the places where you were struck. Why are we still alive?
Yeah, they know we're not helping them. You'd think that they'd just be like, fuck this guy finally.
Like, they have to know that we literally machine gun another one of their temples, right?
Yeah.
It takes you a while to remember who you are and where you are. It takes you a while to remember that you are Jake Huntington and you surrender. You can feel the effects of a fever. Your skin is burning, your head is spinning, your throat's swollen, your hearing is impaired as if muffled. Nonetheless, you can hear chanting in the distance. Over time, you regain your senses and to look around and observe your surroundings. You're in small cells hewn from rock, lying, still fully dressed, on a coarse, thin mattress and wooden plank attached to the wall. Cultist woman. We knew you were coming. The time of the comic is upon us. Time of Hastalik is upon us. It was inconceivable that you could be absent. You attempt an answer, but now your mouth has gone numb, and there's titties on the screen again. Now the wall feels dry, as if coated only a thin layer of sand. You can only make out the figure stayed in the doorway. She's wearing only the dark kilt and the mask of the cult. We can get up, or we can keep resting.
No, they're not gonna attack us. We can rest.
Yeah. Given the overwhelming sense of feverish nausea pervading your whole body, you decide it's probably a bad time to try to stand up. You're struggling to keep a clear head. You need to sleep. That's it. Let Hastalik rise up within you. Can you feel the fever? It is his spirit growing inside you. Let it grow. Let it fill you. The ritual is coming to its zenith. You have felt his power more and more as you've journeyed towards the temple wherein he is entombed. At last his chains will be broken. Finally our cult's efforts will come to fruition. Hastalik, Lord of Legions, will finally have dominion over the world, and we shall rule with him. The woman begins chanting in a primitive, harsh, incomprehensible language. A language you've never heard before, composed of guttural sounds, akin to grunting or wild growls. It's only one word which can recognize as repeated over and over again. Hastalik. Fever appears to be getting worse. Or could it be something else? What is this strange feeling going on inside you? You're unable to reason, unable to think. Yet, despite the constant harrowing chanting, your eyelids close and you fall asleep. Aww. She sang us a little lullaby.
Oh.
We got 12 experience points for taking a nap.
That actually sounds like a lot of experience points. Do we have anything that we can put it in?
I mean, we could put it in agility or fighting. But that seems contrary to what we're doing. So I'm just saving it up to max out medicine.
Yeah, let's max out.
A wave of swirling unfamiliar colors hits your retinas. They seem at the limit, if not beyond, the range of colors of the ordinary world. Some seem to have spatial depth. Others smell of opaque yellow, though you would have normally have no idea what opaque yellow smells like. Carmine red squeezes your intestines, or maybe your intestines are that color. Just looking at them gives you vertigo. It makes you nauseated. Yet you cannot look away because they're all around you. You're in a place, in a physical location, but you're struggling to even find the vaguest point of reference. There's regular geometry to your surroundings, but it is a reality with other rules that you could only define as alien in some way. All the shapes you see are distorted and unfathomable. Even as you take a step, you are unable to determine in which direction you've moved. You believe that you were moving upward, but when you hazard a second step, you find yourself on a downward incline. You're hit by a wave of panic. Stranger. Jake. You hear your name being called from all directions at once from the outside, but also seemingly on the inside. It's called only once and by a single voice. It sounds to you as if it's shouted and whispered 10, 100, even 1,000 times. Something moves closer to you. You cannot understand its aspect, or whether it's man or a creature. Nor can you make out exactly where it is. Is it in front of you, or at your side? We can run away, or we can just let it approach.
Oh. All it is a voice?
Yes.
and we are in turmoil. I think.
Yeah,
Let's
we're
let's bail on it. We've ran away from everything else.
yeah. Move in the opposite direction to the approaching thing, but nearly end up running into it. You back off, turn, and again try to get away from it, but your senses betray you once more. You can't even distinguish up and down properly. Grip of a terrible nausea, you fall and hit against something. The voice repeats your name. Jake. Stranger, open your eyes, Jake. Look at me. You open your eyes, not even realizing you had them closed. For a few moments, you're dazzled and nauseated by the brilliant colors and shapes, but your eyes adjust. Then you see the figure that called your name approach. His features are humanoid, but his face has a soft, almost fluid texture and changes from one moment to the next. Although his skin is dark, its appearance shifts constantly from one face to another. Do you recognize me, Jake? You recognize the messenger, then the coach driver, now the servant in the library, now the librarian, now Abbas, the fisherman, and finally Betsarai, the interpreter. Of course you recognize all the faces that you've seen from Zanzibar onwards. All have been unimportant people who have helped you in some small way or pushed in a certain direction. Between one human face and the next, there are flashes of light. In these flashes, you catch momentary glimpses of inhuman, savage creatures, undefinable horrors which alternate with the human faces. So we can say you're the informant, or we can say that you are Hastalik.
I'm gonna call it the informant. I bet this is like Nyarla stuff or some bullshit.
You're the informant. You fucking called it. It says Narhotep. Yes, I was your friend, your informant. I'm Narhotep, messenger god of Asathoth. And last boss of Persona 2. Innocent Sin. As well as Hitler. And the Spear of Longinus. Persona 2 is so good. As his voice is speaking these words, his appearance mutates yet again, taking on even more unspeakable features. First, he becomes a creature whose head is one big red tentacle. Then he becomes an Egyptian pharaoh. Thanks to you and the comet, Hastalik will be released tonight from his ancient prison in the abyss. If summoned with the correct ritual, the passage of the comet and the right celestial configuration will provide the energy necessary for the buried god to break free from his prison. Tonight, Hastalik will give free rein to his hunger, spreading like thousands of plagues and diseases that make up his being. Narhotep's face and aspect change continually. Innumerable men and monsters appear before you in turns. His rattling voice penetrates your body like something with a definite physical form. You close your eyes. His servants shall be his slaves, but they will also hold the reins of the world for him. The future of the human race will be death and suffering. You, Jake, are in fact the key to releasing Hastalik, yet by the same token you could also lock him up forever. Is this really happening, or are these merely delusions caused by the fever? Have you really become the turning point of a clash between alien beings, divine entities from a different plane of existence, fighting for control of the planet? Or are these mere feverish delusions, and the fruit of paranoia and delirium caused by disease and all the things you've been through? Okay, we can just reject it. Or we can just say, like, yeah, Thorhotep's my good friend, and I love this reality that I'm now in.
You know, he might be the incarnate, you know, the crawling chaos, the incarnate of evil, but he has not at any point lied to us.
It's true.
I think we've been waiting for a friend this whole time, and I think we finally found him.
We did. Wait, we failed an achievement? You haven't completely understood the true nature of Nathal-Hotep. Sure I have. He's my good friend. That's all I need to know. Why me? Although you have hundreds of questions, this is both the most urgent and first one which you're able to verbalize. You are a doctor. You understand the concept of a healthy carrier. You were infected with the original strain derived from Hastalik himself, yet you are here neither dead nor healed. Can you feel it there inside you, pervading your entire being? It's been there the whole time, and now Hastalik is near. It has reawakened. A healthy character, entirely aware of the fact this whole time you yourself would have been the perfect subject for your research on the disease, though it must of course have been a different strain, for the simple fact that you contracted the disease from a sick man and not via inoculation by the syringe of the cult. If you were not caught up in this absurd and distorted reality yourself, you would no doubt find the tragic irony of it all somewhat amusing. Hastilic is a disease itself, yet his essence is never confined. His body is like a swarm. Every particle of the disease is part of him. He is the disease and all of its emanations, but Hastilic is many other diseases too. What did that doctor call it? A virus. Tharahotep constantly shifts in appearance and positions. For some seconds he's on your right as one of the black men you met in Delft. Then 3 steps ahead of you, a stern-looking coach driver. Since you are already in communion with Hastilic, you are the perfect candidate for the climax of the rite taking place in the number of hours in conjunction with the passing comet. As such, however, you were the only element that could ruin it. Fire worlds come from behind you, and so you turn your head, but when you do, there's nothing there. Don't even bother looking around, because you've realized that in this world, vision is no longer the primary sense. Tharahotep is gone, leaving you into the strange and distorted reality. Great. Imago Dei. Sure, the image of God, why not?
Are we on another chapter yet?
This is the last chapter. Oh, we've met Tharahotep. Yay.
Yay!
He's a new character that we love. And we've now maxed out medicine. Good for us. All we had to do was meet the messenger of Asthoth, and that taught us all we needed to know about doctoring.
I mean, technically, that is not inaccurate.
It's true. After your conversation with Tharahotep, the dream world in which you find yourself starts to gradually gain a semblance of meaning. Though it's just as ill-defined as before, now at least you make an educated guess as to what direction to take. Now you feel that you are able to make an actual decision instead of drifting aimlessly among these warp chambers. We can go forward or backward. Onward.
Forward.
Onward.
Wait, no. This feels like the final thing. We might need to wait till next week.
Oh, we might. Let me see. I can double check that. Dua. Let's check the guide and see how far we have.
10 more chapters.
10 more chapters. We are almost done. I say let's do it.
All right.
All right. You sense something almost more like feeling than a sound. Like movements of sand, spiked shadows, materials in front of you. First they look like ugly stains in the darkness, but then the outlines become more defined. Horrific, long-limbed entities with claws and deformed eyeless heads. You distinctly run the opposite direction as the shifting, creeping beasts. As they get closer, the piercing sound of their snarling fills your ears. Your mind is still receiving distorted signals from your environment, yet your desperation to escape is helping you focus. Beings are beginning to move in front of you with fast and wild bursts of movement. In a way, they suit this place that is no place. You have to find a way out now, before escape becomes impossible and you begin to lose your determination. Part of you just wants to give up. It'd be so easy now to just give way to oblivion and let yourself be snatched up. Deep inside, though, there's still your fear and your anger. Jake Huntington is still there, struggling away inside. Suddenly, you are confronted by another image. It's the latest apparition has upon her face a smile that leaves you breathless and stops your heart. Helen raises a hand, inviting you to take it in yours. She appears now as she was before the disease, how she was when you first fell in love with her. Your sweet Helen is there, smiling and stretching her pale eye out to you. Could it be that she has appeared now to save you? Do we reach out to her outstretched hand and let her lead us to salvation, or do we just assume that this is another illusion and run away?
That's actually a hard one. Yeah, you know what? We finally we've done enough. I think this might be the redemption arc for us dealing with Helen. Let's let's accept Helen's help.
Yeah. Helen! You're running. The excitement and sensation of running takes over your body and the whole being as in your previous realities, that of London, that of men, that of Jake Huntington, as if you were already escaped in the nightmarish world surrounding you. When you reach for Helen's hand and hold it, feel its heat, its fragrance, you succumb to an intense feeling of peace. Finally, you experience once again the feeling of the world as it was before all this lunacy, before you knew anything of Zanzibar, or the disease, or the cult. Suddenly pain shoots through your hand like 1,000 needles puncturing your skin. Helen's smile widens to slowly become completely inhuman. Her teeth begin to deform and multiply. Her smile grows wider and wider, stretching her skin until it suddenly rips and falls back, covering her entire face.
Ah, our betrayal!
Tentacles thrust out of her body, lacerating her skin as they grow and flail. They come for you, trying to entwine themselves around your limbs. There's nothing left that is human about this form, let alone anything of your dear wife. At your back, you hear hideous appendages scrabble around, searching for your body, holding you, penetrating your flesh. You scream like you never screamed before. Skin around your mouth is stretched to the limit. And you feel, and by the ferocity of your screaming, your throat burns. Feel the pain and horror of contact with these otherworldly beings. Then darkness. Nothingness opens around you and you plunge headlong into it. You wake up with a start to find yourself back in your rock-walled cell. The cultist woman's gone. You still feel feverish and sore all over your body, but less so than before. You're panting heavily. Just experienced the absolute worst of the feverish nightmares, yet it seemed also real. Perhaps only certain parts of what happened to you happened in the dream world. It could be that your dream functions as a kind of portal, but you are quite sure that your encounters with Hotep and the other beings were actually real. The entrance of the cell appealed 3 cultists, 2 women and a man. One of the women and the man approach you and start pulling off your shirt. The other woman's carrying a sponge and a bowl filled with clear, pungent liquid. Should we not resist, or should we resist?
Getting sponge baths?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Yeah, I guess. I guess we're getting a sponge bath.
I think we should resist.
Okay. You shake and try to break free. The man gets a firm hold in your arms. You take advantage of your sitting position to give a few hard kicks to defend yourself. Land a hard kick to the man's solar plexus, who's bent forward from the first blow. About to hit the back of his head, and one of the women gets a tight grip on your wrist at unexpected strength. The other woman hits you hard in the face and sidles up to your ear. We can do this nicely or not nicely. It makes no difference to us at all. Your arms and legs do not need to be intact for the ritual to take place. We don't need you to be able to walk because we can easily drag you all the way to the inner temple. You've been injured. By the time the man's got up and now hits you hard in the gut, bent over and gasping for air, your visitors resume your ritual ablutions. Ooh, ritual ablutions. They stripped you of your shirt. You're left alone with the woman who's continuing the ablution of your body. I will now walk out of here. You will follow me quietly or calmly, or do I have to call for you to be dragged there? When you're considering your options, the woman puts her hand to her mask and raises it slightly. When you see her face by the dim light of the cell, you are utterly thunderstruck. Ayata! You remained firm and impassive for a few moments. You saw Ayata die, and so seeing her now should be blowing your mind. Perhaps it would have before today, or up until a few hours ago, but not now. Not after the unspeakable things you've just seen. You just look at her without speaking. You have no manifold aspects of Nathar Hotep. You have started to look out for other hidden realities beyond our own. You knew me as Ayata. To others I have been known as Yolanda. To others as Madame Yi. Now, you know who I am. I am the Witch of Dreams, servant of Azathoth. I am Yidra. Yidra. Words.
We vetted one of the great ones.
Apparently.
Good job.
The reality around you seems to bend and warp. You find yourself in a distorted and disturbing dream world in which you met Tharhotep. Only this time you're definitely awake. Yidra's appearance is no longer that of your shy Polynesian girl. She is now a resplendent goddess. You cannot help but look on all totally different titties now. Tharhotep spoke to you about the god Hastalik sleeping in the chains below this temple, and of his worshippers who want to awaken him and hand over the earth and all of humanity to satisfy his appetite. The summoning of Hastalik would only ruin and sully this world, which rightly belongs to Azathoth. You were paralyzed, stunned. Despite all your recent experiences, you are still shocked by intrusions from the dream world. Perhaps it is Yidra herself who shocks you so. You can somehow sense her vast hidden power. Time of Azathoth will come, and the earth must be delivered to him as pure as it can be. Hastilic should not be unleashed, and his attempts to defile the earth must be punished. His chains must be tightened, and the prison made even smaller. His every possibility of escape must be taken away forever. You feel something, as if a hand were lightly touching your skin in a loving caress. But there is no hand, and Yidra's hands are lying at her side. You are certain that it is she who's somehow touching you. Prepare for ghost sex. Oh, no, wait. I met you when I was incarnate. It was I who created the fog, I who brought you to the island. For some time I have been watching different branches of the cult of Hastilic, and I need to meet you personally without outside interference. Face carries a strange smile somewhere between malevolent and pleased, without knowing how, as if she had whispered in your ear. I'm aware that by interference she means Nyarlathotep. When we lay together, I got to know all about you, of your existence and the presence of Hastilic inside you. I needed to know and to create a connection with your soul. Now I know the consent of your determination. You cannot beat him in the flesh, but they're still away. Well, there are 2 hands on your body. You can feel them tracing the skin of your face. It is here in this place that my powers had zenith. It's here, and now we will sabotage the cult's ritual and destroy both Hastilic and the cult once and for all. It's here now that we must join forces and fight together. Met a new character. A new deity. Great.
Right at the last moment, all the spooky stuff hits all at once.
Yeah, it's like, oh, let's catch it up. You're struck by sudden awareness. She will not make you do it. She will not force you. Whatever her motives, her purpose, and her power, it must be you who decide. Should we join forces with her, or should we refuse the proposal?
She's against what's his face?
Hastilic, yeah.
Good enough, yeah, Hastilic, which is a good enough friend for us, all accounted. But is she friends with Nyarlathotep, our new but good buddy?
She was trying to avoid his meddling, so I don't know. But she also serves Azathoth, and so does Nyarlathotep, right? So
Yeah.
in theory, they're on the same side.
I mean, you know, yeah. Let's join up.
Sure. Helen, Ayata, you close your eyes to focus clearly on these 2 women. And you know at once in this realm there's no need to vocalize your answers. The contact with the Idra's hands becomes more intense. And suddenly your senses explode, and you're flooded with lofty feelings of attraction that go far beyond physical desire. Oh, man.
Of course.
We are going to nut like we've never nut before. You are drawn closer, then swept away. Your spirit's transmitted elsewhere. You feel the weight of the moon and stars looming over, but you dare not open your eyes, partly in fear that you would somehow get lost in surrounding madness. Your contact and union with the Idra is physical, yes, but it's something else beyond the power of normal senses to feel or of language to describe. It's the best sex of your life. When you're coming to the peak, time itself begins to implode indefinitely within you, and then suddenly reality comes back like a sledgehammer and you're back in the cell. This definitely isn't a dream. You smell the damp air and feel the texture of the ground below your feet. You adjust her mask, and suddenly she's no longer Yidra. The woman who replaces her starts collecting up the bowl and sponge as if nothing had happened. As if this person had noticed nothing at all. Yidra had been wearing her body as a vessel. 2 large cultist men enter the cell, grab you by the arms, and carry you off. Goodbye, Mr. Huntington. Taken to what must be some kind of holding room, also hewn from the rock, but not for long before you're picked up again and led along a winding, less artificial section of tunnel. Here, the going is much trickier, because the tunnel is almost pitch darkness, and it turns illogically at certain points. Nonetheless, after a short time, you are led into the great hall of the Temple of the Cult of Hastilic. As you expected, there are symbols everywhere, drawn or carved on rock walls, columns, and even on the giant head of sculptures scattered around the temple. Despite their size, the giant head statues look almost like mistakes, rejects from a sculptor, having hybrid, distorted, or unpleasant features. The temple is a giant acoustic amplifier for the cult's dissonant chanting. Center of the temple's huge symmetrical dome above you is a small circular opening to the sky. Directly and precisely below the opening on the temple floor is a circular pool of water exactly the same size, which you can see the reflection of the night sky. In front of the pool, a cultist is waiting for you. You assume from the extra expensive items of expensive-looking cloth that he must be a priest, or at least someone high in rank. Probably the one to see the correct observances during the ritual. The man abandons his position and comes towards you. So, Dr. Huntington, we meet again. Voice and accent are instantly familiar from the secret club and from before. Slowly lowers his mask, uncovering his face and encourage your suspicions. It's Meyer. It was not so long ago that I was asking you to join us. If I recall correctly, you were not especially convinced at that time. We can say, it's a shame you still exist. I almost believe I'd killed you. Or we can just let him continue to monologue.
What? What a monologue. I want to see where he's going with it.
Where are you going with this? Union with Yidra. Great. Okay, yeah. Meyer looks at you, waiting for an answer that you're not going to give him. Starts circling you. As you have no doubt understood, whether or not you choose to collaborate with us is irrelevant, and very soon your pivotal role in our great plans will be revealed to you, dear Huntington. We know that you are an altruist, but as a doctor you must know full well that you cannot hope to save them all. Although I do have to admit that you are very good, I'm almost convinced that you would save the life of Scott, was it? The son of your friend and commander. You're dumbfounded. How could he know so much about your life? Different to the fate, however, of the other boy, the Polynesian Fuego. Yet another of your victims. Are you unaware that if you had never gone to the island, Fuego would still be alive? Meyer's intention is to make you feel guilty for the bad decisions you've had to make so far. He's succeeding.
Oh, no.
You can accuse it and say, like, actually, it's your fault. Or we can just, like, say, like, well, what are we doing here? We ritualing? Is this a ritual?
We're petty. Let's yell at Meyer about it being his fault.
But it's you who chose to fight against us, dear Huntington, and as you know, every battle involves victims. I've always been a step or two ahead of you watching you. If you want to know for exactly how long, the answer is very simple, since your wife, Helen, first contracted her illness. Feels like an electric shock. What does he mean by this? Could it be that the cult somehow involved in the sickness and death of your wife? We can say you killed her, we could say you're making this up, or we could use speechcraft to intimidate him.
Oh, we know what we're doing.
Yeah, speechcraft time. Success. Always one step ahead, always sure. Sometimes it's the best way not to notice what could be coming at you from behind. Or did you think I came here all by myself? That certainly gets the cultist's attention, and some of you step unconsciously backwards. Has something else really escaped? Do you really have a mysterious ally of whom they are unaware? You smile, content with having broken their certainties. Meyer takes in the situation, his face consumed with anger. You fools, can you not see he's trying to plant seeds of doubt in you? Huntington alive will not be enough to save you now. Really, all he has to use against us is his quick wits, but he has nothing else to use against us. Are you turning against us yet again? How dare you, after accepting money from us to pursue your research to eradicate diseases and such that killed your wife? Meyer laughs, then replaces his mask. But don't worry, none of that matters now. It's time. Two men drag you to the center of the chamber, right to the edge of the pool. Your legs give way momentarily. There's something inside, something seriously malevolent. You hear its vibrations. You feel its silent calling inside your body. Two men push you ever closer to the water. Meyer turns to his companions, and chanting begins to rise to a crescendo. Then you spot the comet reflecting in the small circle of living liquid in front of you. Muster all your remaining strength and swing your arms back in a jerky motion. Motion contained enough momentum to unbalance the two cultists holding you. You waste no time and knee one of them in the face before he has a chance to stand up. Many others are upon you now. They grab you and push you violently towards the pool. The comet's now completely filling the disc. Then Meyer approaches and turns your head to his. You're face to face with the eerie smile of the ritual mask. Goodbye, Mr. Huntington. Meyer pushes your head into the water. You're unable to breathe. The water rapidly fills your mouth, throat, and lungs. You feel it suffocating you, organ by organ, as if the water were a sentient entity moving inside you, looking for something. You feel the flare of the comet underwater, and you become aware of the immense and powerful energy swirling around the pool. A violent ripple begins to form on the surface of the pool. You can feel the water inside your body vibrating too, screaming. It's moving like a living being. You can't breathe. The comet is passing out of view in the reflection of the surface of the pool. The living water is still trying to force its way into your body to choke you. Then it suddenly retreats as if it's suddenly yanked away. You cough violently, gulping for oxygen. Around you, there's only high pitch vibrating and buzzing. And women of the cult are taken aback, stunned, watching the water disappear down into the pool, writhing like a living entity, being hauled backwards. Water is literally dragged downwards. For a moment, though, it seems to try to resist, like some kind of snared animal trying to escape its fate. To be trying to cling to the edges of the pool, and even to you. Myra steps back and glares at you from behind the stone mask. How is it possible? You've beaten the disease. You've beaten Hastalik. Yeah, sure. All it took
How?
was hot sex. Sex was the answer the entire time. Having sex with a god.
I would assume there would have been like a medicine check or something at the end. We'd really just,
Yeah. Take full advantage of his astonishment. Thanks to a surge of anger, you find strength to get a hold on him and pull him towards you. To his surprise, he has no time to react. He loses balance and tumbles headlong into the now emptied pool. His shout resounds for some time before ending abruptly with a faint sound of crunching at the bottom of the pit. For a moment, your mind is filled with vivid images. It is Hastalik. Definitely would try to hold on to you in some way, but he's failing. His voice resounding inside your skull. Though it's impossible for you to understand the exact meanings of his cries, the gist of it is clear to you. God is screaming furious curses with all his dwindling might. Union with Yidra has accomplished its purpose. Your contract with the goddess has healed you, cured you of Hastalik's infection. Finally free from all the traces of his dark contamination, you have lost the role of catalyst to the ritual and broken the delicate alchemical balance which would have made it effective. Rather than being released, Hastalik has been banished back to the depths of the ocean, perhaps for perpetuity. Oh no, Hastalik was a load-bearing boss. A large outcrop of rock cleaves off and comes crashing down the temple floor. It's followed by more smaller boulders. Without Hastalik's power, the temple is weakening. You see some of the cultists head towards a precise point in the shadows, an opening. It has to be the only way out, that hellish narrow tunnel from which you entered this nightmare realm. Nothing else remains around the ruins. There's chaos, shouts collapsing, and rock panic-stricken cultists running in every direction. Aim for the direction of the tunnel, and not only to escape. You remember thinking that such an entrance made access to the temple extremely difficult. Now you realize this excellent defense could now be turned against them. It could in fact be an opportunity to trap them all in the collapsing temple. As you progress, you feel your strength returning, and any last trace of the disease fall away, as happened to Hastalik a moment ago. Yet only the presence of the disease and its attendant hallucinations can explain what you now see before you. See the faces carved in the walls, moving their mouths as speaking, as if the rock of which they are made of, crumbles and collapses. See them scurrying. The cultists no longer appear human. Seem to have strange appendages growing out of their bodies and extending their limbs. Every second that passes, they become more and more like the creatures from your dream journey. Trying to stay away from the nasty creatures, find a way out, you catch an odd, bright line leading towards the tunnel, a sort of shining beam. Do we want to follow the light?
What's the upstairs option?
Not follow the light.
Oh. We'll follow the light.
You decide to follow the strange luminous trail. Picking up your pace as you realize the path allows you to move faster. Let me avoid both rockfalls and running cultists. It could, however, be merely another hallucination. In front of you, in the corridor, there's a space, a niche. This could well be the opening to the tunnel which leads to the beach. You sneak inside. It's the only way out of the underground temple. It might be the perfect opportunity to perfectly destroy the cult of Hastalik. Suddenly you realize that the streak of light does not follow the path of the tunnel, but rises and stops at a precise point on the walls. Looking carefully, you notice the rock seems softer here. If it collapsed here, it would certainly block any possibility of escape for those left behind. Do we want to, try to bring down the tunnel where the light tells us, or do we want to just keep going?
No. We followed the light this far. It has been pretty good,
Yeah.
I think we should try to knock it down here.
You attempt to strike that particular spot as hard as you can. There's a faint cracking noise in the rock. Looking up, you realize that the stones are being held up by a bulge in the rock. Perhaps it will not be possible to create a collapse after all. Starting to have faith in your hallucination, you lean back against the opposite wall and get ready to kick it. One very hard kick, you manage a slight move of the rock and a small shower of stones. Then you hear voices. The cultists are escaping towards you. So we can do a fighting check to face the cultists, or we can just keep kicking this rock.
Keep kicking the rock.
You continue kicking decisively. Once, twice. A third, the crack in the rock yields and many boulders fall, blocking off most of the tunnel and completely blocking the exit. On the crashing rocks, you can hear the anguished cries of the cultists, realize that their attempt to escape are now futile. Alright. We got an achievement for following the light, it says. Great. Move rapidly from the collapse of the rock and through the tunnel. After a few meters, you come across a small group of cultists who have already entered the tunnel before you. The crash would stop them in the tracks. When they recognize you, however, their anger takes over and they prepare to attack. See that just by them is a rock protuberance that you could use as a step to jump past them. Okay, we can fighting face up to the cultists. We can use agility to jump past them, or we can try to knock the first cultist down by charging at him, which isn't a check.
You know, I think the one that isn't a check's the only one we really got a chance at, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, alright.
With your head lowered, you charge at him like a ram, trying to bowl him straight over. He tries to resist, but you go tumbling painfully under the bare rock. In the meantime, another small group of survivors are already upon you. Painful effort, you keep fighting the cultists, and suddenly this huge roar. The earth trembles. You see a cloud of dust racing along the tunnel, and larger stones are falling all around. Temple of Hastilic is collapsing. Start sprinting to avoid getting caught up in the violent collapse, and soon you are safely out of the tunnel. You turn around. Alone except one or two survivors who are also fleeing for their lives. Stare vacantly at the sky for a while before taking the road back to civilization. You survived, and the Temple of Hastilic was utterly destroyed. Doubt the unholy god is dead, but from the last you saw of it, you were satisfied that it's locked back deep within the earth, perhaps forever. At least for as long as there are men in the world. Women we don't care about, just the men. This experience has left on you some strange scars on you, both physical and psychological. Though your body's not completely free of disease, you doubt that the hallucinations will ever disappear altogether. And also, you'll never enjoy sex again because you've had sex with the god, and there's no way that any mortal woman could ever live up.
That is the downside, yeah.
It's another thing that still troubles your thoughts. Tharahotep, Yidra, Azathoth. They too are gods like Hastilic. This time they were in conflict with a common enemy, but that doesn't necessarily imply they are on the side of humanity. There must be other cults, other threats, and you reflect that humanity is so very fragile before such beings which can take possessions of the entire planet. The threat of which mankind is completely unaware and which goes on in the shadows. You, Jake Huntington, have saved the whole planet and its inhabitants, at least for now. Epilogue.
I'm mad that we are the hero in this.
You're tossing and turning in bed. We did the most heroic thing ever, which is having hot sex. You're tossing and turning in your bed, unable to sleep. Lennon watches you from the window. Your mind goes back to that fateful day in the depths of the underground temple, and the memories of those dark shapes and unsettling chants make you shiver deep inside. The ghosts of the past have obsessed you for years, but tonight they're haunting you terribly. Close your eyes, but you know it's pointless trying to sleep. This time you not stop the flow of tears that begin to bathe your face. It became known as the Spanish flu, a plague which decimated the population of the world's population. Its effects were obscured for many years by war. Of course, you have no doubt about the origin of the disease or about who was responsible for its spread. Nevertheless, your contribution to the medical research helped to prevent far worse consequences. Still, you cannot help but feel partially responsible. The culprit must have been a cultist who was able to get out of the tunnel before the temple collapsed. The only question remaining is whether the plague was released as an act of revenge or of war. The disease that you studied was not contagious, and so someone must have continued researching to develop another strain. Cult of Hastilic was likely defeated. The consequences were still disastrous, millions upon millions of deaths. Then there were the meetings with Tharahotep and Yidra, who revealed to you the existence of other beings with unpronounceable names waiting in the darkness, ready to seize and take possessions of our world and its inhabitants. Who, for example, is Azathoth, served by both of these gods, but in very different ways? If you are lucky, you will never find out. Quietly to yourself, you wish good luck to anyone having the misfortune of crossing paths with one of these horrifying ancestral beings. The end. And that is it.
Mm-hmm.
That is the end of Omen Exito Plague. So the credits are as the credits roll. What did you think of Omen Exito Plague?
Oh, it was way funnier than it had any right to be. They tried so hard, but the options and the results of your actions in this sometimes didn't line up to what the expectations should have been.
It was lovely.
I enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed it. Interesting take on the Cthulhu mythos. Uh,
And it looks like we released the Spanish flu, so that's nice. If only we'd murdered a couple more people, maybe there would have been a Spanish flu.
uh,
Fabio is a Kickstarter backer. The Fabio. Wow.
oh,
And the Luigi. Mario brother himself. Wow. But yeah,
I could see that.
it was, it was
This
a nice
feels like a
time.
Luigi game.
Yeah, it could be. Like, Mario. Most of the time we're going like, Mario, Mario.
Uh, 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 you know, Mario being a doctor and all, Luigi being part of the cult of Hastilic makes more
Oh
sense.
no. Oh god. I mean, there was there was a Dr. Luigi released at some point, but and of course in Dr. Mario World, apparently in the world of Mario, they just let small babies treat people for diseases. So,
We traveled way too much in that game.
you've unlocked choice
Maybe
history and fast forward features that allow you to discover the unexplored routes. Well, that's nice. I don't think we're going to do that. Let's go ahead and move to art time. See our beautiful pictures here. Okay. An entire village being shot to death, yes. Yeah, friend to most children. Mm-hmm. And
we seem to fail just a little bit at the end there.
yeah. And
Like
we
the-
met our good friend Tharhotep down there. And and we have the true dick power that saved us there at the bottom. It was very good. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining
Not our
us. Oh.
not our intelligence, not our medicine, not our being a doctor, not our fast talking or anything. We literally slept our way to victory.
That's right. We sexed our way to victory. Well, thank you for joining us for this this contemplation. What have we learned here today?
That in the end, just go, I guess in the end, go have sex with anybody you can.
Yeah,
it might save the universe.
Yeah, it might be a god. Yeah, you don't know. You don't know.
Terrible advice.
Just great advice. Well, let us think about what we learned here, and next time we will start a new contemplation of a new story. But until then, I will see you later.
Next time.